is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right? So much success that you have more than one place to be.
5-3, touchdown, Oregon.
Off the dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Oregon is headed to the Super Regional. Big Ten champions, your Oregon Ducks.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
We've got Athletic Director Tuesday with the Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens coming up for you here shortly. Also a season in review with Oregon Volleyball head coach Matt Ulmer. I wish that we were previewing a few matches ahead, but still a successful season and a great run for Duck Volleyball. We will talk with the head coach, Matt Ulmer, here coming up. Also, award season continues with postseason football coming up this weekend. I guess technically, some postseason football's already gone on. You've had a collection of bowl games and the FCS playoffs, for example, but now we're getting into the college football playoff. The 12-team format, Friday, Saturday, and then the Ducks will find out who they're playing on New Year's Day in that Rose Bowl. Finals week last week, Oregon continuing practice this week, and awards continue to roll in. Football Writers Association All-America team coming out today. Dylan Gabriel, first team All-America. Derek Harmon, second team All-America, according to the Football Writers Association of America. Also yesterday, the Associated Press said that Derek Harmon was a second-teamer. Josh Connerly and Dylan Gabriel, both third-teamers in the Associated Press, as the All-America honors continue to roll in for a number of Ducks. And there's so many. It's funny, like I was thinking about this morning. Scott and I were talking about it in the studio. There are now so many All-America teams that get announced at different times. I'm the first to admit I have a hard time keeping track of all of the different awards and when they come out. And it's a good problem to have, and it's a great thing that we're even sitting here considering that, because that means the Ducks are showing up on all kinds of award lists. That's what you like to see. That is what you like to see. It is game day for Oregon women's basketball. Kelly Graves and company back in action at Matthew Knight Arena tonight. It's on Big Ten Plus, also a 5:30 pregame show across the Oregon Sports Network. Air Force is in town. Shout out to Chris Brown, the head of communications for Oregon women's basketball, in his game day post today. He said that it was a bird battle. That was so good. Between Air Force and the Ducks of Oregon. How do you not chuckle when you read that? Bev Smith and Chris Clayton will have that 5:30 pregame show for you coming up here tonight. All right. The Oregon Athletic Director, Rob Mullens, we actually recorded our conversation with him earlier today. A lot to cover. Football, volleyball, the rest of the fall sports, a new leader for Oregon soccer. And we've got winter sports here on the hardwood coming up. Our conversation, part one, with Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens. It's the last time this calendar year that we'll have an Athletic Director Tuesday with the Athletic Director Rob Mullens. Thank you for joining us, Rob. How are you?
Well, I hadn't thought about it being the last time of the calendar year.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know, are you like me, though, that the calendar year, I operate more on the academic year?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, like the end of the year is in June.
The end of the year is absolutely in June, especially when you think about all that we have going on right now.
Right.
Volleyball just finishing up, both basketballs up and rolling into league play, and then football postseason. Yeah,
we'll talk football. We're going to talk hoops. We're going to talk a number of different things that cover a lot of ground. And maybe let's start generally, Rob. I mean, end of the calendar year, heading into postseason. Give us the state of the department if you could.
Well, it's been an outstanding fall. I mean, obviously, win a Big Ten championship in football. Volleyball just made an incredible postseason run. And one of these postseasons, we're going to get that regional round at Matthew Knight Arena, because the only difference in going on the road and playing the number one team in the country, the only difference in that match was home court advantage. In my opinion, obviously cross country had great falls, and we're excited to welcome a new soccer coach. So, yeah, it's – it was a fantastic fall. Both basketballs off to a great start. So here we go.
All right. Well, we're going to cover a lot of things now. Matt Ulmer, Oregon Volleyball head coach, will be with us coming up on the show in just a little bit. Football season review. How healthy? How great of a year was it to hold up that trophy?
Boy, it was a phenomenal year. Obviously, when you just think back, the 7 home games were amazing. We set a attendance record for Ohio State in all that entire weekend. How that set up. And then just run the gauntlet of a great league like the Big Ten. Some tough road trips, played 8 weeks in a row, and just, kept finding ways to win. And so, just incredible performances across the board. So, and now we get that number 1 seed in this new playoff and have the opportunity to play in the Rose Bowl. I could tell that our fan base started tracking it a few weeks out, like, hey, okay.
Yeah,
oh, wow, this could happen. Yeah. And so you end up in this whole new format, and, it's not really a bowl experience anymore. It's
right.
You're hoping to play the next week, but to be able to play that quarterfinal game in the Rose Bowl is pretty cool.
So a lot to unpack with the new 12-team playoff. You've been on the committee. Just break it down for fans so far. What do we know heading into it?
Yeah, I know it was, a lot of people assumed going from 4 to 12 was going to end the debate.
No,
because there's always going to be right. There's
yeah.
always going to be a team, no matter what the number is.
Yeah.
There's going to be a last 4 out and a last 4 in. There's been plenty of debate about the seating and the structure, and the committee. It's a tough job, and they have to follow a protocol, which they did. But I'm sure there'll be a big debrief after this first one, because, obviously experience is a great teacher. But, there's no doubt, the impact that it had on the regular season, the attention. I can tell you, for one, I cannot wait to hunker down on my couch Friday night and watch that first playoff game. Get up on Saturday and sit down and hunker down and watch those 3 playoff games, because having those on campus is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
By the way, we obviously were planning, should we have been a first-round host, and the weather for Friday and Saturday looks like it would have accommodated a first-round game. Because you just never know.
You don't know. I mean, you're right. The home field experience you talked about in volleyball and postseason, the home advantage, to me, that's one of the many things, but maybe one of the biggest that makes college athletics so special.
It does. And could you imagine, listen, very thankful that they were number 1 seed and have a bye, and we're going to the Rose Bowl. But just think about what Autzen was like. Well, we were sold out almost every game. What Autzen was like in those games. Turn it up a notch if it's lose and go home.
Right.
And likely playing an opponent that maybe have never been to Autzen Stadium. So this weekend is going to be fascinating. I am going to be hunkered down like the biggest college football fan. And
you don't get to do that very often.
Not very often. So I am really looking forward to just, getting my game day fare and settling in.
What's the game day menu?
Oh, it'll be the basics. I mean, it'll be nachos, popcorn.
Good.
I got to throw some soft pretzels in there. So
you deserve it.
I'm gonna go consult with John Sargent.
I like that. Yes, that's smart. That's smart. So Oregon basketball is on the road on Saturday, right? And so this is a little selfish of me, Rob, but I was already kind of trying to figure out. So it's a neutral site. What time's that shoot around gonna be, Coach? Do we know? Because this is a fun day, and it's historic because it's never happened before.
It never has, and thank goodness for streaming, right?
That's right.
You can take it on the road.
You're right.
No, it is, and it's going to get huge TV numbers.
Yeah.
And I just think it's one of those things, because you got 4 teams with buys waiting to see who they're going to play, and fan bases and regions and leagues, and it's just going to be phenomenal.
Well, and you talk about, getting the 1 seed, right? As Coach Lanning would say, none of these other problems that are leading to debates matter if you just win games, right? And that's part of it.
It is part of it, no doubt. But listen, I think some of the debate is what gets the attention.
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say.
And it just keeps everybody engaged. And, that's the beauty of college athletics, is there is so much passion.
Right.
And, that passion leads people to tend to see everything through their green and yellow lenses.
That's right.
Which we love.
Yeah. Well, and throughout the entire year, I'm curious for your perspective on this too, Rob. I felt that there was more interest because of the debate you're talking about.
100%.
You know, like every regular season game used to feel a little like a playoff, especially in the BCS era. But now there's just jockeying for position, and you look at, I don't know. I think it's great. More fan bases are involved in a postseason run.
100%. And then, like you said, you throw in the element of some home-hosted games. Then you get back to the traditional sites of the elements of, whether it's Atlanta, Miami, Dallas, New Orleans, and then the Rose Bowl.
Yeah. Now, to go back, if we could, a little bit, as we've spent some time looking ahead, the atmosphere at Autzen Stadium, Rob. Man.
It was an incredible year, all the way around from, selling out Idaho and, the impact that the crowd had at the Boise game, at the Ohio State game. 15 years. Overall, 1-7 best home atmosphere at Autzen Stadium. And what was fun is, we had a lot of fan bases visiting for the first time.
That's true.
And the feedback was off the charts positive about their experience at Autzen, their experience in Eugene Springfield. So that was great.
First season in the Big Ten, right, as you're alluding to. How'd it go?
It was great. I think it was great. It was fun, obviously, to have those fan bases here, but it was also equally fun to go on the road and have some Midwest Ducks, some East Coast Ducks. We had tremendous support at Purdue, at Michigan, at Wisconsin, and it was just fun to see the Ducks everywhere.
Yeah, and now the Rose Bowl, we've talked about it a little bit. Tickets still available, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, no, the playoffs work a little different than a traditional Rose Bowl. You get a lot more tickets for a traditional Rose Bowl. But we moved through our 12,500 tickets pretty quickly.
Very quickly.
And we're able to secure some additional tickets. So now, we do things in priority point order. We're moving down. So if you haven't secured your tickets, stay tuned because we are reaching out. I forget exactly, in what chunks of groups that Jason's doing it, but we are moving down that list, and there are still some tickets to be had.
Goes down the list. And, again, it's the lifeblood in a lot of ways.
100%. It is the lifeblood. And, January 1st, 2 o'clock, Rose Bowl, San Gabriel Mountains. And we want as much green and yellow in there as possible.
There are poems written about this day. There are.
There are, absolutely. It's, we was talking to some staff who've never been and just said, it is a very unique experience. Mm-hmm. If you get the, the perfect weather, it's not much better.
Yeah, well, and you talked too about how and I was actually saying this on the show last week, Rob, that it is a little different with it being one game in a sequence rather than the last game as it has been oftentimes, and that does change the calculus. But you know what it doesn't change is that there's nothing like the granddaddy of them all, and it's still the game that gets so many eyeballs for the right reasons.
It does, and obviously we've been there in a playoff game before, right. And so yes, the days leading up to it won't be a traditional Rose Bowl, so there won't be a Disneyland, there won't be a Lowry's,
right.
Beef Bowl, but when you drive down into the Rose Bowl on January 1st, then it's pretty special.
Yeah, things are a little bit different with this Rose Bowl as we continue with Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens, and it's because of the new format, right? You have these games now that used to be the end of the year with a month build-up, end of the season, that is, with a month build-up. Now it's a quarterfinal. You win, you're advancing to the Cotton Bowl if you're the Ducks, and then another win, and you're in Atlanta for the national championship. So the schedule is a little bit different. Somebody asked me earlier this week, well, is it just more of a business trip? And I thought, I understand what your meaning is by that, but the Rose Bowl was always a business trip, right? It's just a little bit of a different format in terms of the other events around the game. That's all a little bit different now. Quick time out here in the Country Financial Studio. When we come back to Duck Insider, we've got Rob Mullens, Part 2 with the Oregon Athletic Director, reviewing the fall here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
We are back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. Athletic Director Tuesday, our final Athletic Director Tuesday of this calendar year. We'll be getting ready to talk with Rob and the rest of the senior administrators coming up in January. How about that? Yeah, next week we will take the week off of Duck Insider just with no events happening around basketball, and the Duck football team will prepare and start preparations once they know who they're going to play, with Ohio State and Tennessee playing on Saturday. So we'll have some updates for you, a few quack minutes. In fact, we were just talking here in the studio. We'll have some practice reports for you on GoDucks.com. But until we get to that Rose Bowl, all of us are going to be traveling and doing basketball games, and then we'll have that Rose Bowl pregame show for you, noon start time. Oh, I can't wait. Like we said, poems are written about that day. Continuing our conversation with Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens. So the way that we have this scheduled out for Athletic Director Tuesday, I try to have Rob only come on like once a month because it's not like you don't have enough going on. And we always appreciate you taking the time. But I'm hoping that you and I won't really talk again until there's another couple big games that are anticipated.
Awesome. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah. So now that's the football conversation. I did want to revisit volleyball with you. Just the atmosphere at Matthew Knight Arena, outstanding. We talk about the ability to host and have that home court advantage. Just review the volleyball season for us.
It was big. I mean, obviously, the Big Ten volleyball is the best in the country, and we put together a fantastic year. Always credit Matt. He scheduled Pitt as a non-conference, so we play a difficult, challenging schedule. It's a long season for volleyball. You battle through some injuries, and the season ebbs and flows. And in the end, to be able to get that 16 seed and host that first round was big. To be at Matthew Knight Arena in front of our crowd. And essentially you had 16 versus 17 for a right to go to the Sweet 16. And, man, did our team perform.
Yeah.
That was pretty amazing. And then to go on the road and play the number one team in their venue and come again right down to the end. The only difference was home court advantage.
Yeah, I mean, what do they say? Like the home field's good for at least a field goal in football,
right.
Good for a few points in volleyball,
and that was the difference.
Yeah, and I want to say too, like for the fan base and of these Big Ten fan bases, like we saw, you talk about great experiences, right? Like Nebraska fans turned out in a big way. Like you're seeing just the love, the passion for that sport in this conference.
No doubt. I mean, to break a volleyball attendance record, hosting Nebraska, and to see their fans, and they came out for multiple days, went to the coast,
right.
Went to the mountains, received a nice letter yesterday from a Nebraska couple who was just very complimentary of the pep band, of the experience, and very welcoming to us into the Big Ten. So it's a fun club to be in.
I think that sport's just going to continue to grow and grow.
100%. When you look at the TV ratings over the last couple of years, what's happened and what the Big Ten Network and their partnerships at Fox have done to elevate that is pretty remarkable.
Continuing on fall sports with Rob Mullens, a new leader for the Oregon soccer program announced since we last had you on. Tracy Joyner, our neighbor across the hall.
There you go. No, excited to have Tracy. I'm anxious for our fan base to meet her. If you haven't already, there's a documentary of her and the process of becoming I believe it's the second American woman to get her UEFA A license, and that was all documented, so you can get an introduction there. But, everyone that we talked about, her passion for the student-athlete experience, her passion for the sport, and just the energy, and you can feel it.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny when we're talking about, process, and Damone was leading it, and several other people were involved. And you look at what Jess Drummond has done, and I think we found somebody that has a kind of a similar passion, a similar approach, a great ability to connect as Jess.
Infectious energy.
100%. 100%, and you better be ready to keep up.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I can tell you that we love, I don't know if I've said this to you before, but I'm sure that word gets around. We love that the studio is where it is in the athletic department.
Yeah, good location.
Yeah, because you have, good catch.
Whoa.
Football helmet going down. I got to stop hammering the table. But Jess and her staff for lacrosse, and now Tracy and her staff with soccer, and then softball's at the end of our hall. I'm telling you, it's really nice that the studio isn't the loudest area, because we have fun.
Oh yeah,
here,
no
right?
doubt.
Like, you're on the air, you get after it, and there's good conversations, and I love it.
No, this is you're right. That's a great hall, and I'm sure you guys get a part of it too. The collaboration that happens across sports is pretty remarkable. I mean, Tracy and Chris, her new assistant, were getting ready to host a recruit, and they were wanting to talk to our coaches and say, hey, tell us, the best things to show, because we're still learning too.
Sure, that's awesome. Cross country, you talked about how, new conference for cross country as well, different competition, different areas to run. Pretty successful start, especially on the women's side.
It's our first Big Ten champions.
How about that?
Pretty special. And now when you get to that national meet, and you get in those corrals and the herd. But yeah, fantastic performance, and really proud. All Americans, and those are some tough conditions. It was chilly there.
Yeah.
But yeah, a fantastic season.
Yeah, and then indoor season, outdoor season going to be here before we know it. You talked about basketball a little bit. Number 10 in the country for men's basketball right now.
No doubt. To go beat Alabama, and finally, we could see it building, but it took that win against a top 10 opponent to get the rest of the voters to pay attention, and then we vaulted into the poll. I don't know that I've ever seen that.
Big jump to number 12.
Yeah, right out of the gate. It's and doing it in different ways, right? And there are a lot of parts and pieces that could be fun deep into March.
Yeah, I could tell you just from being around practice, the competition level, and I know Coach Altman is thrilled that for the most part in the offseason the team was healthy. It's amazing how much of a difference that makes.
It does, and then you look at the mix of experience. You bring in a Brandon Angel, a TJ Bamba, who have a lot of games, and those are the type of players that really thrive under Dana's leadership. And again, when you have the healthy and the different kind of athletes, the different kind of players, and you can just see Dana, whatever the game dictates, he's the mastermind. He's pulling the strings, and it works.
The amount of defenses that the Ducks can change and throw at different teams over the course of a game because they have that depth and experience, for example. It's been fun to hear Coach Altman talk about that.
Well, yeah, and if a team tries to take away one thing offensively, there's so many other opportunities. Yeah. And then to see somebody like Keyshawn, who's battled injuries, and Nate, who's battled injuries, play as well as they've been playing, it sure is fun.
Women's basketball game day today, 6 o'clock at Matthew Knight Arena. 5:30 pregame show for us across the Oregon Sports Network. Also off to a good start. A lot of new pieces there, too.
Yeah, a lot of new pieces. Hawaii was a tough trip. But again, this league is going to be really, really difficult.
Yeah.
So you got to bring it every night, and excited to see them back on the court tonight after a finals week.
I was going to say, good point. I mean, finals week. So no events during that finals week. Focus on academics. Now a little bit of a celebration of the end of the term.
Yeah, and I think it's always tough for athletes. Your schedule. I mean, elite athletes are very routine.
Creatures of routine.
And then, that finals week is a completely different routine. And sometimes you can't practice as a team as you normally would. And then, so that first game out, you don't know what how you're going to find that rhythm again.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Anything else that fans should know before we take a holiday break, Rob?
No, just, appreciate the incredible support for our student athletes. It has been an amazing fall. It's been a fun entrance into the Big Ten, and I'll just say that everyone that has visited Eugene for the first time has walked away impressed with how passionate our fan base is, and what a great job our staff does to support the student-athlete experience and bring the energy.
Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens, enjoy the nachos.
Thank you. I'm all over it.
Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens joining us for the final time this calendar year. We'll talk with him again coming up in January. Thank you to him for always taking the time whenever we ask. Up next, Oregon Volleyball season review with the head coach, Matt Ulmer, coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial.
Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Put your phone on D&D, that means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D, that means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Well, coming up on Thursday, we're going to do our bonus Big Ten Bowl Pick'em, brought to you by our friends at Seven Feathers Casino Resort. I was just going through and making our spreadsheet for our bonus Bowl Pick'em. It's going to be fun coming up on Thursday. Jerry and Jorgie will join us. We'll do a little Oregon football talk. And then on Friday, Ryan Milano's got some interviews for you because I'll be on the road with Oregon basketball. The Ducks taking on Stanford in that neutral site game that's on the horizon before the holiday break. Now, meanwhile, Oregon volleyball, the season coming to a close. They took Pitt to the brink, the number one team in the country. Ducks were one of the last 16 playing. And we caught up yesterday with Oregon volleyball head coach Matt Ulmer to review what was a good season. Talking with Oregon Volleyball head coach Matt Ulmer. Coach, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us via Zoom. Coach, even though the season has now come to a close, there's still some other commitments for a head coach of the stature of Coach Ulmer, and I know that he's not going to take that compliment, but I'm going to make it here on the air anyway and just say, Coach, thanks for taking the time with all the commitments that you have.
I just appreciate you having me. We still have a relationship right now, and I know that's going to end soon. I'll be dead to you soon. But...
That's not true. It's never true.
It's really because I swear, January, February, March, you lose my number. I don't really understand how that works.
Hey, you know, Coach, that's a two-way street. I don't get any texts from you either.
Oh, that's not true. I do text you because I talk about your socks for your games. I ask if you want me to join you for basketball games.
And I always say yes when I see you.
Okay. Well, I'm just letting you know I initiate that conversation.
Yeah, I think that's happened twice in the last 5 years. Matt Ulmer, Oregon Volleyball.
Which is 2 more times than you've initiated with me.
Okay. So,
love you.
That means that in January we'll have a check-in. In February we'll have a check-in. I honestly think that sometimes you just need a break from all the interview segments, don't you?
Yeah, I probably do. I just want to give you a little guff.
Sure. That makes sense. All right. Reviewing a 5-set thriller, Coach. And I realize that as a broadcaster saying it's a 5-set thriller, it's probably not fun to hear that when you didn't come out on the winning side, but still, congratulations on an amazing season. Wish we were previewing a few more matches, but coaches, congrats on a great season. What were your takeaways?
Thanks. I mean, all of our talks, I feel like, led us up to that pit match, right? And everything that we've been trying to work on, the emotional conversations we've had, that the team deals with, how, we got reverse swept a couple times, or we lost those 5-setters here recently, even when we got outscored, and just how tough we would need to be, in this environment. And I feel like all of our conversations were about how tough we'd have to be in December. And I was just so proud of us because it was definitely our toughest, that we've acted. I thought we competed so well. Pitt's very good. They're the #1 team in the country. They have been all season since we met them in the first weekend. And they're tough to stop. And they have, the right side, Olivia Babcock, who we did a nice job with the first time we met, absolutely just went off against us in that match. And we still had our chances, to win it at their place. So really proud of our group. I thought we did so many things well. It was our best serving, that we've done so, all year. And again, to go into a hostile environment like that and, to play the #1 seed in the playoffs with all the pressure and you're on ESPN and all those things, and to go in there and be so tough from the service line tells you a ton about the makeup of our group. And it was what we had to do to be successful, and we executed that part really well.
You just actually said what I was about to say. You talk about the execution and rising to the occasion, and Coach, sometimes a great match, someone just has to lose. That's how I felt, but I didn't know if that's how you all felt afterwards.
I thought we played well enough to win, but again, obviously so did they, and someone had to lose. But again, we did. When you look back, you just want to feel like you did everything you could. You want to feel like you gave your best effort, you gave your best shot. You don't want to be disappointed. Well, we wish we would have, handled it better, whatever. And I don't feel any of those things. Even in the moment, we were emotional at the end because it was over, and because this team was so great, so fun to be a part of every day. And that group won't be the same with graduating seniors. So that part is hard. But I don't think there was any tears for lack of effort or wishing they could have done something different. It was, I feel like everybody held a lot of pride because it was maybe our best match of the year.
We played your post-match press conference with Daly and with Oni on Friday's show, Coach. And one of the subjects that came up was tears post-match. And I know you kind of joked and kind of gave them the little elbow of oh, you guys are going to make me cry again. But Coach, seriously, I mean, I thought Oni was just so composed in talking about that. Could you take fans inside the locker room and building on the point that you just said, there is a lot of pride for what this team put together this year.
Yeah, again, I mean, we graduated basically the whole team, from the year before. And but this group had major goals that they were going to reach. And even if people didn't think they could do it, we all thought we could. And so, to see the progress over the year and just the daily presence by everybody to show up every day trying to be their best and to try to grow and try to learn so that they could be successful in that moment. It works. The process works. And that's a crazy thing, Again, even though we didn't, it is a wild concept. But again, every time you feel like, people doubt that process, and then you get to the end and you're like, okay, no, it was worth it. The sacrifices that you make to be a student athlete was worth it. And again, I think they had just a lot of pride in themselves for being able to host the first 2 rounds. Again, that was a goal. To be able to make it to the Sweet 16 was a goal. And then again, when you get to that point, it can be anything. Anything can happen when you get to that point with any team. And we just knew that if we were playing our best ball, then we could play deep into December. And we were playing our best ball, and we gave it our best shot. Pittsburgh was just better than us. But again, to your perspective, or what your question, we had great pride in the locker room. I feel like everybody was emotional because they just poured everything they had into the match and to the season, and that's just that little bit of a come down. I was emotional because, again, I just really enjoyed working with this team and being their coach. I was just super grateful to them, and that's what I wanted to get across to them in the locker room, is just how grateful I was and how grateful our staff was.
Yeah, that's great. Now I'm going to put on you and I's comedy hat for a moment, okay?
Okay.
I just want you to know that I really appreciated your daily presence when I asked you about Daly McClellan.
You're welcome. I threw that in there. I had to stay serious in the moment, but I felt it.
Yeah, that was good. That's just some next level interview tactic. But talking about Daly, Coach, and to build on just what you were saying with some that you've had the privilege of working with for 1 year, 2 years, however many years, right, and that you've known all these student athletes, to have some of them now and those big time moments, that's special as a coach, isn't it?
Daly and Colby have been with us for 4 years, and I thought those were their best matches, that they've had in their career. I thought Colby, blocking-wise, did a fantastic job against the best offense in the country, I believe, and a really good setter that's deceptive. I thought she did wonderful, and she brought some needed offense, scored some really important points for us, and did a lot of the little things well. And then Daly, I thought she was a rock passing. I think she was like a 2-7 for the match. They couldn't serve her. And again, remember, she's only a couple weeks off of, 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks off of coming back from her surgery.
Yeah.
And she, that just tells you so much about her and the group, that she would come back. Again, that disappointing Purdue loss at home, but she would win her first match back. But then just responded, and she was great all the playoffs, but specifically in that match against Pitt, I thought she was just a rock. Great, made some amazing digs. Her serve was so clutch. That's how we won. I think the second set, was her 2 big serves right there to win that one in deuce. And again, just so many things. And so I'm just so proud of them. And then Michelle, Mackenzie, and Oni, who only got to play for us for a season, so much growth in their game in just a year. And I think the common thing that they kept saying was they wish they had more time.
Yeah.
With the program, and that makes me feel good, and I know it makes the players and the rest of the staff feel good. So I just feel like those 5 are really ready to do what's next in their lives, and that's your hope, right? As a mentor, as a coach, is that when they leave, they're prepared. And I feel very confident in that.
Well, in the bigger picture too, Coach, like we talk about the modern landscape of college athletics, and you had a big turnover from last year to this year, and then you had some of these seniors that have transferred in that you can only work with for 1 year. Just as you look at the big picture, like how special is that? And then also a shout out to you and your staff for putting together a roster like that. Just how challenging is that in all of those subjects that I just mentioned?
I think we've been so fortunate with our grad transfers. We've had 6 here in the last 3 years. Starting with Hannah, I think, is where we started with Pukas, and then Gabby and Kara, and then this year with the 3. And they've just been amazing, to work with. And from their perspective, I think, they're old enough, they've been through all the stuff of being a freshman and what that's like. And they get to the point where now they're really focused, and they want to try to take that next step in their careers. And all of them are wanting to play pro. And so it's just been a really good fit, I think, with our coaching staff and with our team. And I think both of us have gotten paid great dividends for both of it, both sides. So yeah, that's been a really good thing. And I'm sure we'll lean on that again here this next year, because again, we graduate more, and it's just being able to fill in, to try to make your best lineup, your best roster, because there's so much turnover in college sports right now, and you cannot prepare for who's going to leave you. And so all of a sudden you're sitting there with scholarships in your hand and like, okay, so what are we going to do with these? And, who's the team that we have, and how do we need to fill it best? And again, we've been fortunate enough to find the right people. And I think what's so hard is to find the right humans.
Yeah.
You can look at them as volleyball players and be like, oh, they would fit well, but you're trying to find, the right fits, and very quickly, because we're a quarter school. So we have to get them in the door here shortly, but it's worked out very well for us, and hopefully that's something that continues for us.
I guess with like you talk about next year, and it does move quick, Coach. Like, give fans perspective. How fast does it move? I'm sure you and your staff, you're already thinking about that roster makeup for next year.
We've already picked up 2 transfers for our team for next year that are really good ones that we're very excited about. Our team, though, our returning group looks pretty similar as of now. I mean, things can always change, but
sure.
I think people are having a good experience and they're seeing a lot of personal growth. So I think it will be a nice blend again, of like this year was, and hopefully we'll be primed to make another run.
Quick timeout with Oregon Volleyball head coach Matt Ulmer. We'll have more coming up as we review the season on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Jan from Toyota here, live with some big news. Toyotathon is on. Okay, now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 6th. Participating dealers only. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Jan from Toyota here, live with some big news. Toyotathon is on. Okay, now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 6th. Participating dealers only. Toyota, let's go places.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says,
avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
Because remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Ma, is this how you feed a hamster?
I think so.
Is my homework right?
I think so.
Is, this milk still good?
I think so.
When it comes to parenting, sometimes it's okay to think you know. But when it's something as important as your child's car seat, don't just think. No. Double check if your child is in the right seat for their age and size. It'll help protect them in a car crash. Don't just think. No by visiting nhtsa.gov/the right seat. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Back in the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Reviewing the season with Oregon Volleyball head coach Matt Ulmer. Part 2 of our conversation and starting to look ahead a little bit with the Duck Volleyball head coach as well. Do you find that there are some consistent pluses that come from that blend that you just described? Because you and I have discussed before that you like when student athletes redshirt, right? Like you get that development, and that's been beneficial to your program. Like, have you really found that this is kind of the balancing act of the modern era?
I think it's going to be harder and harder for student athletes to redshirt just because of the pressures that they feel, to play right away and have an outcome right away. I think that's really hard for people to be patient in the current landscape. And that just is what it is. But again, I will always try to do what's best for our student athletes. And if I think that's what it is, I'll recommend it. And then if they leave, that's their choice. But yeah, I think that's part of it. But yeah, when you're 22 as opposed to 18, you're a completely different human.
Sure.
And our 22-year-olds, our 21-year-olds have just been outstanding. I think they've all been All-Americans or All-Regions. Like they've all gotten, those honors. And because again, like I said earlier, they're just in a position where they're more focused. This is something that they really want to go after, and they're going to put the time and effort and energy into it. So I think that's been a good thing. Again, it doesn't have to be for everybody. Obviously, Mimi did redshirt, and it worked out pretty well for her so far. Yeah. So there's going to be cases where, it goes both ways. But I think it's to a person, what makes the most sense for them.
Mimi, I mean, heading into next year, there's going to be a big spotlight on her, and for good reason, Coach. Just how excited are you for one more year?
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, after the match, she's like, I'm a senior. And I'm like, that's weird. Senior. I know it feels like she's played for forever, but it's also gone in a blink of an eye. And so, I think she came so far this year, so much growth. And, hopefully we can double that up in this offseason to get her where she needs to be, to go be the best pro, because that's what she wants to do. After the next season, she'll get her degree, and hopefully she'll be done after season next year with her degree so she can go play. But I think she's very determined, and her leadership skills grew a lot this year. I think she handled a ton of pressure, and she has over the last 3 years. So just excited to get back in there and continue to work on her all-around game.
And now for the rest of your core, if I could call it that, Coach, you mentioned like the returning group and you feel good about it. Just tell fans a little bit more about that, if you could. Like, where do you want to see development from some of your individuals that fans have gotten to know over the course of this year?
Yeah, so Chris Klein, again, I thought the amount of growth from her from January to now was just off the charts. And I think there's so much left in there. She just really was lacking experience and reps, and I think she got a ton this year. Again, I thought she handled herself well. I was really excited for her and Noemi to be a part of playoff volleyball, see what that's like, because that's really important to gain experience doing that. It's hard to be successful at it without the experience. But I thought they handled themselves well. So I'd like to see their connection grow. I'd like to see their individual games grow. Sophie Gregoire, before she got hurt, I thought played her best match against Minnesota.
Yeah.
And she's itching to get back. And same thing. We're looking for the development for her 6 rotations, and I think that's something she can absolutely do. I thought she had some great moments this year. So it'll just be about consistency. Mia Taverdi in the middle had some really nice moments, and again, it'll just be time. It's hard when you come in as a freshman because we really don't have time to work with you. It's like boom, you're playing.
You're going.
You're in season. So I'm really excited for January, February, et cetera, with her. I think she's got so much to give, and we just need to be good coaches for her and help her get there. And again, everybody else, and we have incoming freshman group that is highly touted, and I think will be really good fits for us. So I think there's a lot of pieces there that fans should be excited about. I still think our best days are ahead of us, even though the ones behind us have been pretty good.
What's the development schedule for January, February, as you get into some of your spring slate, Coach, or winter and spring slate?
Yeah, so January, I think 14th will be our first practice, and we'll be in our 8 hours up until spring break. And that's a really important time. We kind of break everything down all over again, act like you've never played volleyball before, and we start from the ground up. And I really enjoy that as a coach. That's fun for me. It's really technical, and I think we see a ton of growth in that time. And then after spring break, when we come back, we're in our 20 hours, and now we're 6-on-6. We're in team stuff, and we get those competitions, those 4 competition dates that we'll use to springboard into the fall. And we're trying to schedule a pretty competitive fall schedule. So see if we can host, further on than the first 2 rounds. I think that it sure feels like the last 3 years, if we could have been hosting in the 3rd or 4th rounds, we might still be playing longer, So I think that's got to be a goal for us. And that requires a lot from our fans. We need more support, so that we can schedule appropriately, so we can, get our RPI high enough to be in that situation. And then, in the gym, we have to continue to train at the highest level so that we can get those wins when we play those matches.
To that point too, it's been a consistent goal. You haven't shied away from it, Coach. And then also it's the first year in the Big Ten, which has been the traditionally most difficult volleyball conference. And now with the Pac-12, a lot of the best of the Pac-12 joining the Big Ten, there's no doubt that the Big Ten has been the best conference from top to bottom. What's your assessment of year one in this conference?
I really felt like we were not shocked when we got in that pit gym, right? I think we were really ready for that environment where, again, we've talked about when we lost at Madison last year, when we lost in Louisville the year before that, I felt like that, too many fans, it's like there was part of that adapting that we had to do. But because of the conference, where we've seen that so many times, I think it was just old hat. We were ready for it. And so I think that was huge. And then just the level of play, is 2 of the Final Four teams are in our conference, that you played. And then, and then a couple more Sweet 16, Elite Eights, it's like it's just so many great teams, great coaches that you really feel battle tested. You feel like you've gone through it. You feel like you're ready for the tournament. So it's really a tough conference season. It's really hard. But I think it makes you stronger. Iron sharpens iron. Like that's totally, I think, the mentality you have to have with the conference. But again, just really grateful to be a part of it. And it is the best volleyball conference.
Continuing with Oregon Volleyball head coach Matt Ulmer, back to your group and your roster for a moment, Coach. Just the freshmen. What can you tell us about your group that's coming in? And then I know we're talking and things are dynamic in the modern world of the transfer portal. So I guess a snapshot of where it is now, knowing full well that I may have to ask you again in a couple weeks.
Yeah, so Logan Bell is coming from Indianapolis area, and she's with USA as a libero, but she's an undersized outside, so she's going to remind a great beach player. Sounds like a Brooke Nuneviller type. She has just a ton of game. I mean, huge volleyball IQ. I think she's going to be really exciting for fans to watch over her career, but great ball control. I mean, big time ball control player, maybe one of the best in her class for sure. So that'll be welcomed as we lose Mackenzie and we lose Michelle, who passed a lot for us, and Daly, who passed them both for us. So adding Logan, Ryan White is transferring in from Oregon State, who we announced, and she, of all the liberos we would play year in and year out, she was one of the most frustrating ones to play against. And we really, really respect, her play and her competitiveness. So adding Logan and Ryan with Natalie Fukumoto from Hawaii, another really nice DS, I think will go a long way in replacing that ball control for us. So I feel really confident there. Kenna Kogel from Arizona is a big time middle, who's had a ton of success on the junior scene, and she would be a top recruit and really mobile for 6'4", long arms, big hands, blocks well, has a ton of experience, and a fast arm. So I think she's going to be a nice middle for us here in the future. Izzy Mogridge is an All-American setter for high school, and she'll play in the Under Armour All-American match here coming up. And so I think her versus Chris will be a really fun battle, in our gym. So excited for Izzy to come in, and she's a true competitor, a lot of grit. I think she reminds me of Pukas on the court as far as how her attitude and how she plays. So I think that will be nice for our team. And I think practices are only going to get tougher, with who we're bringing in. We got a commitment from another middle, transfer middle. We can't release that yet, but that we're pretty excited about. So I think that was important for us with Colby and Oni both, graduating. So Mia and in the transfer middle, and then Kenna coming in, we'll shore that up a little bit more. And then Cam Mitchell from Oregon, she's a jack of all trades. She'll play beach and indoor. She can do it all. Really good setter. She would set from the middle a lot of times in her high school or club team because she would be so offensive, and she can good defender, good ball control. I mean, so she can do it all. So I think it's a great group. We're really excited for them. I think it's what we needed. And we're probably not done yet in the transfer portal. I feel like you never are. But we'll see if we can find maybe one more pin, that makes sense for our team.
Well, that's exciting. Coach Ulmer, thanks for always taking the time. I can't thank you enough, especially for joining us while your commitments are multiple. I'll put it that way. And I hope that you enjoy a very, very good holiday season. Merry Christmas to you and your family, Coach. Thanks so much for the time.
Thank you for a great year. I think it was our best year yet, don't you? I feel like you and I, we were just right there the whole time.
Look, Coach, I'm only as good as you are, okay? So this is all you.
Well, then you were good.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
I hope that my hair can get to the length and the coif of yours soon.
It will not.
Yeah, probably not. But I'm going to try.
It's nice. I like your hair, though.
Yeah, it's getting very long, and it's more and more difficult. Somehow, Jerry and Jorgie got the beard, and I got the hair that can't be cut until a certain team loses, Coach. So
I love that for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. See, but you've just gone for both. I mean, look at the beard. The beard is still – it's
not green.
It's not green, but we're next year.
We'll try again next year.
Next year, fans. If we average, you're doubling down, right? You're ready.
I like 4K. If we can get to 4K.
If we average 4,000 at Matthew Knight Arena, he's dyeing his beard green at the end of the year.
Let's do it. I'm there.
I think it's really good for the holiday season. You all keep playing deep into December. It really fits, Coach.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Maybe we do. Yeah, maybe a little green yellow. I don't know.
And then you could do a little red in there just for the holiday season.
Nice.
Leave it green and yellow.
We can get creative. We can get creative with this.
This is good. This is great.
I
Coach,
appreciate you.
Travel
Thank
safe.
you for a great year. Appreciate everybody. Go Ducks.
Green beard. Almost. Next year, fans, let's make it happen. Green bearded Ulmer. We're going to make it happen. It really, though, congratulations to the Duck volleyball team on another great year. And it sounds like future's bright heading into next season as well. I'm Joey Mack. We're going to need a timeout. Come back, and a few Ducks had some fun on the video board at Autzen Stadium. Keep it here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial.
Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember, back to the land of my first love. Would you spread wide your arms for this wayward son?
Sometimes when you have a giant video board, there's just obvious things you have to do with it. As we welcome you back to Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Today, the Ducks released a video of a few Ducks playing Fortnite. That's right. Video games on the video board at Autzen Stadium. Jordan James, Derek Harmon, Tez Johnson had a little fun. They fired up Fortnite. Well, you can see the video here for those of you who are watching Duck Insider. And I've noticed Caden, who's directing the show today, was discussing how now everyone wants to know if the Duck skin will be available in Fortnite. I don't have a conclusive update for you. Caden said, though, that Shout's in. So you've got some Shout action. Love to see that. That's a pretty cool partnership. The Ducks getting an opportunity to play Fortnite up on the video board, and that's what it's all about. Chance to have a little fun with you when you get things like a giant video board at Autzen Stadium. On tomorrow's show, we're going to hear from Dan Lanning. We're going to hear from Dylan Gabriel. Also, it's women's basketball game day. Good luck to the Ducks tonight, 5:30 pregame with Chris Clayton and Bev Smith. See you at MKA.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
when the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The score